All right. So I got this all together. Pin this comment. All right. It is now 7 o'clock. We are on the final broadcast of the doctoral journey with Derrick for 2021. We'll pick this back up in 2022, the first Tuesday. I believe that's January 4th. But we'll be on then, and we'll begin the process of continuing this conversation that we've been having. Thank you all who are here or coming through or will watch this in the rebroadcast or the tape later. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate you coming in and having positive words to say about what we've been talking about. These are tough subjects. It's not for everybody. It's not necessarily controversial necessarily, but I speak to a distinct audience in this particular platform, and that is pre-dissertation students who are wondering where they are and what they need to do to get off to a good jump start so that they're ready by the time that they get to the dissertation, and not that they're still trying to find themselves when they get to the dissertation stage. In my view, if I can cut out a lot of the unclearness, a lot of the wonder, then by the time you get to the dissertation stage, your advisor will love me, because I've been there where I have a person who's now done with coursework, finished their comps, and they're ready to start the dissertation, and they have no clue what they're doing. They don't have an interest. They haven't read any literature, and we have to start literally from ground zero and move forward. So my goal is to make sure that you have everything you need to begin this dissertation journey. So it's now 7:01. 7:02 we'll get started. So as usual, I will start off giving my shout outs to people who are supporting this program, who are supporting the movement, things like that. So the first shout out goes to Bougie Shootery. That is www. I get that right. .bougieshootery.com. Now post that. That offers charcuterie boxes with a twist. We do plates. They do boxes. They now ship. They do it all. They have a proprietary dip that they're doing or spread that they're doing that they are selling like wow. So if you're in the Charlotte area for this winter break, make sure you reach out to www.bougieshootery.com or Bougie Shootery on all of your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. At least she got a TikTok page. I don't know how that works, but she has all of that there for you. The next shout out goes to firstgenfly.com. It is a custom apparel company. So it's www.firstgenfly.com. If you contact those people, they can customize whatever you need. They do birthday shirts. They do mood shirts. They do everything that you want. As long as you send them the design and give them some detail and contact them and talk to them, they can figure it out for you. So that's another company I want to shout out. It is now 7:03. We'll be ready to go in a minute. And my last shout out, of course, goes to Dr. Ramon Goings and the good people over at the Done Dissertation. Great program, excellent information and tools. If you have not got the 14 Secrets to a Done Dissertation, make sure you get that book. It's available on all platforms, but contact them directly on the webpage and buy it directly from there. They reap all the proceeds of that way. So make sure you're getting to them and getting those products and getting the information that they have to give. Perfect information. Great guy, has graduated hundreds of people based on a formula and curriculum that they've designed. So once again, shout out to the Done Dissertation. And with that said, it is now 7:04. So let's go ahead and begin. We want to talk about how you can maximize the winter break. Now, you get this certain period of time in which there are no assignments. You're in the middle of this doctoral program, or at least after your first semester. How do you maximize that time so that you're ready to go forward? Now, I don't have the statistics on this, but I like to get it. But based on my practice, based on what I've seen, if you can make it through the first year, you're probably in a good position. The first year is can dog you out. It's unlike anything you've ever noticed before. But if you can make it through the first year, you're pretty much good. And part of making it through the first year is relaxing, reflecting, and recommitting during a winter break so that you come out in the spring and you're running again. Undoubtedly, you've probably been hit over your head and overwhelmed with new knowledge and readings and all of that stuff in your doctoral program in your first semester. And it's probably knocked you back. And you want to get some rest. You want to re-examine that me time. You want to give time to your family. Everything we talked about before with the talk. Now's the time to implement some of that. Also, there's some things you can do to begin the process of moving yourself ahead. So there are 3 essential phases of the doctoral journey. And these are 3 takeaways. Knowing what phase you're in. And we'll describe those phases in a little more detail as we go. But those 3 phases are: phase 1, knowledge acquisition; phase 2, agenda discovery; and then phase 3, knowledge production. So in this doctoral journey, you go from knowledge acquisition to agenda discovery to knowledge production. So let's add the meat in there so you understand how this story works. In knowledge acquisition, you are acquiring new information. You're being inundated with new readings, new understandings, new research, literature, everything that you're getting, new knowledge. At some point in time, you begin to discover what you're interested in. And you begin to develop your agenda, your platform, what you are choosing to specialize in throughout this journey. Please remember, when you earn your doctorate, that does not mean you're an expert in everything. People will try to trap you in dinner parties and things like that and try to corner you on some topic they read about on CNN or something like that, and they're trying to get you. Your job is not to know everything, but it is to know your research agenda and know that throughout. You have to specialize in your research agenda. So there's a phase where you begin to get deeper into that. And once you're deeper into that, and you have some other prerequisite skills, you're now ready to move into knowledge production. And one of the key symbols of knowledge production will be your comprehensive exams and, depending on how it's done, and then your dissertation. Those are the knowledge production experiences that every doctoral student who completes goes through. Now, there may be other knowledge production phases, and there actually should be. You should be moving towards being productive and producing some type of article, event, or something like that during this time period when you're in this program, so that you can maximize everything that it's about. So once again, the 3 phases, or your 3 takeaways for today: knowledge acquisition, agenda discovery, and knowledge production. Let's now move first into knowledge acquisition, phase 1. Now, phase 1 generally is concerned with early doctoral students. So those who are in their first and maybe even their second year of coursework, but definitely your first year. And if you're in your first year right now, you just went through your first semester, and now you're in that winter break. So there are things you can do during the winter break to serve you well. And here they are. First, for the break, give some family time. This is perfect time to give to your family what they've been missing since you started the program. And if you have had the talk, and we talked about that before, you can access that information on the IG page, on my page, things like that. But if we've had the talk, then this is something you promised them. You promised them that you will give them that family time that they need, that you've been able to, that they've sacrificed while you were doing your studies. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, while you're giving family time, also find time to get some me time, where you break away and actually serve yourself. Whether that's committing to a massage, a bath, or whatever you do to get your me time, whether it's meditation, walking, cycling, whatever you do to get your me time, get that back during this break. So giving family time, getting me time. The next thing is reflection. Reflect on the past semester. Reflect on everything you went through during this past semester. For example, what did you learn? What did you learn this past semester? Focusing on the things you hadn't learned before, but what did you learn this past semester that you need to reflect on? What did you learn about yourself? You went through this semester and it probably asked you to do things you're not used to doing, even though it's just coursework. So what did you learn? What did you learn about you? What did you learn about yourself during this past semester? And then what will you do better? What are the lessons? What are the pitfalls? What are the things that you went through the first semester that you know in spring you will not do again? Write them down if you need to. Commit to them on a calendar or some sort. But think about those things as you reflect. And probably during your me time, although I wouldn't recommend it, reserve me time strictly for me, right? Take another time to do your reflection and think about what you learned about yourself, and then what you will do better in the next semester. It's your chance to refuel as you reflect. Now, there are some extra things you can do to get ahead of the game. Giving family time and giving me time and reflecting is all to make you whole. It's all to get you to the present and help you be present. Now there are things you can do to move yourself ahead. These are the extras. Over this break, pick 2 chapters from the APA manual that you want to master. You don't have to read the entire book. Just pick 2 chapters that you want to master. If I'm suggesting it to you, I'm probably going to say choose chapter 10 and chapter 2. But choose at least 2 chapters. You can look through and choose the ones you want and make that your project over this break to master and understand those 2 aspects of the APA handbook. If you're using APA, if you're using another type of writing style or, recommendation, then choose whatever manual that is and pick 2 chapters of those and master that. But that is the one thing I want you to think about doing to move you forward extra. I have 2 more, but to move yourself ahead, pick 2 chapters in the APA handbook that you wish to master. Read those, take notes, underline things, do whatever you need to do, but you want to walk out of those 2 chapters knowing the mechanics of writing a lot better. But I suggest chapters 2 and chapter 10, but you can choose whatever one you wish. The second thing that I want you to do, in addition to resetting and getting yourself together in the movement forward, I want you to choose potential topics of interest. You've had a semester to be inundated with information, to be given information. Now that you're starting to think about that and you're going out into the world of work and things like that, start choosing topics you may be interested in and discovering if you're truly interested in them. You don't have to commit, but be willing to start exploring topics of your interest that you may one day turn into something. So in order to do that, use your university library system. You should all know it and know how to access it. But use your university library system to gather peer-reviewed journal articles that connect to your interest. And make sure when you're doing that search that you're checking off peer-reviewed or scholarly. Don't waste your time pulling information that isn't necessarily peer-reviewed. We don't know what happened to this material. I'm not downing it, but I'm also saying it doesn't reach the level that the peer-reviewed process gives. And if talk to your professors, everyone who's gone through the process of publishing will tell you how grueling the peer review process can be. So if it's saying it's peer-reviewed, know that it's undergone something to get there. So choose potential topics of your interest and then begin to explore articles and just collect articles and think about those areas of interest. And if there's something that you want to pursue later, your university library is a whole opening to a new world of research. You're paying for it already in fees, so you might as well use it. Some people are comfortable with Google Scholar. Hey, great. But you're paying for your university library system. Use it. Even if you're getting the articles downloaded directly there, or you're doing interlibrary loan, they tend to be fairly quick in getting your response back. So utilize those techniques and actions to actually move to where you want to be. Now, the third thing, as you're gathering these articles in your interests, begin to develop a literature storage plan. Like, you download these articles, the PDFs, they got to go somewhere. I suggest as you download them, you rename them so that you know exactly what the article is. It's going to come as a series of numbers and letters, things like that. Rename the article, and I suggest the first author's last name, a brief title, and the year. So you know that. But now that you've saved them under a recognizable name, now you need to put them somewhere where they're organized so you can access them later. So my suggestion is that you use Google folders. That's the easiest way to do. Most of you have a Google Drive. So use Google folders by topic or OneDrive or whatever storage your phone offers or your computer has. But use Google folder and create a folder by topic and store those articles in those particular folders. So make sure you use that. In addition to that, as you're gathering these articles, open up a Word document, save it as reference page, and begin to start entering the APA or whatever style reference you have to use. Begin to put those articles in APA reference on those reference pages, on that reference page, and so that you have them stored. I've had a person actually get to the end of their work and they didn't do their references. And they had to go through the grueling process of combing through a couple hundred pages of a dissertation, finding the articles, finding where they were, and then getting the actual APA reference to create the reference page. That's torture. Easy part is, as you gather the article, get the APA reference and put it on the reference page and save it. And keep it in alpha order. That doesn't mean you have to use that particular article, but if you ever use it, and I'm speaking ever, you have the reference there. And of course, follow APA manual chapters 9 and 10 to get the proper reference that you have to use. And I want to say just 10, but 9 and 10 deal with references. So make sure you have all of those and you're ready to go. Now that's for beginners, for phase 1, when you're in knowledge acquisition. And this is another form of acquiring knowledge that you can put in direct use during this winter break. Phase 2 of this maximizing the winter break is the agenda discovery phase. These are for your middle year doctoral students, generally your second or third year doc students. So if you're like midway through coursework or you're coming on the tail end of coursework and you're coming into this break, here's what you do. For your break, give yourself some family time. Give that family time that you've been promising that you will give. Remember the talk. Give that family time because they've been sacrificing for you not only one semester, but several semesters. So be fair and give the family time back to them. The second thing is me time. Definitely whatever practices you do to get some solitude, some oneness, some wholeness, do that in abundance this break. Give yourself the me time that you deserve. Now, that gets you whole. That gets you present. Family time and me time makes up for the losses you've experienced during the year. Now you're whole. You're back at 1. Now let's get ahead. So if you're in a position where you now are deciding, let me use some of this time to get ahead, here are some things you can start doing. If you notice in the first knowledge acquisition stage, I started talking about gathering information on topics of interest. You should pretty much know your topics of interest to a large degree now, if you're in your second and third year. So with that, what you can do, and I actually have 3 things. The first thing you can do is start to develop your research schema. And your research schema is like your agenda, but expanded, right? So we tell people in a research agenda, you should probably choose about 3 areas that are of interest to you as your primary topics. And then you should be able to articulate how they are connected, things like that. A research schema dives deeper into your research agenda. So on level 1 is your primary topics. Those 3 main topics that you explore in your work. Now, underneath each primary topic is a set of secondary topics. So for one primary topic, you may be able to bring up 3 to 5 secondary topics that are related to your primary topic. So for each primary topic, you have a set of secondary topics that run up. So picture kind of a tree map. So you have 1, 2, and 3, and then underneath those, you have multiple secondary topics that you have organized. And now move to the third layer. The third layer is actually questions related to the secondary and primary topics. So you can start from simple questions to a little more connecting questions. As you get good at this, you can start asking some real significant questions, but ask as many questions as you can. So you have your primary topic, secondary topics, and then questions. That starts developing your research schema. Develop it, start thinking about it, start piecing ideas together, start developing deeper questions. These questions will serve you well later as you begin to discuss your topics with people, which I also suggest doing. As you do this, do not feel the need to do it alone. You have classmates, you have colleagues, you have friends who can talk about the topic in very layman's terms, things like that. Begin to talk with somebody, team up, partner with a few people, and just have a meeting where we throw our topics off each other and see what we can get. So that's the first thing, developing your research schema. The second thing is actually doing some reading, gathering or getting deeper into your topics, gathering articles, getting deeper into your topics. If you've taken my Mastering the Literature Review course, then you know about article cards and article card sets. This is where you start taking those readings and start developing your article cards and your article card sets. If you don't, I encourage you to go and check out that particular course. It's in the link that I put here for courses. But if you go to myadvantage.org, www.myadvantage.org, and then go to courses, you can see the courses there. And one of them is called Mastering the Literature Review. We have several sessions where we talk about the cards, the article card sets, and then what you do with them after that. Perfect course to get for this time period. Shameless plug, but throw that in there. You can also check out some of my courses. But definitely your article cards and article card sets you'll gather from this deep reading. And then your reference page will build as you pull those articles. So your goal during this break, because you don't have to download 30 articles and get all 30 articles done. Commit to doing 1 article per day, 2 max. But you do 1 article a day, it should take you about an hour. And once again, if you take that course, I also show you how to read peer-reviewed journal articles so you can maximize what you get from it. So you just don't do the same read throughout the entire document. But once again, that's part of that course. Feel free to take the course if you wish. But your goal should be 1 article per day because you're still on a break. And do it during your high energy time. So if you're a morning person, wake up first thing in the morning, knock your article out and be done with that for the day. 2 max, no more than 2. I don't want to burn you out during this time when you should be resting, reflecting, and relaxing. So that's the second thing, reading, getting deeper on your topics, and actually developing the cards and the card sets. And I'll say it again, go to the course, Mastering Literature Review. It's a great course if you want to get deeper into how to develop these article cards. And trust me when I tell you, they are game changing. So the third thing, the final thing, if you're in this phase, your agenda discovery phase, is I want you to begin to start thinking and planning for a major project. This is not something you're required to do. It's not something that happens in every doctoral program. No professor requires you to do it. Some may as a part of coursework, but not all. I know I have. But I want you to plan for a major project. Now, what I mean by that is they could be one of three things or even more, depending on what you think. But the first item that you could possibly do as a major project is publish an article. Think about an article you want to publish or a journal you want to publish in. Get the author guidelines, find out what you have to do, read a couple of articles from that journal to see how they're handling topics and things like that. But you should know, as you gather your research agenda, you should know the journals that publish the topics you're interested in as you do this. So if you're thinking about publishing an article, this is the perfect time to do it. Research suggests that those who publish or present at conferences prior to their dissertation are at least 5.5 times more likely to finish the entire program. So once again, think about publishing an article somewhere. Get that work going. Partner with somebody who may have similar interests so you all can kind of work this together. But begin the process of developing your articles to be published. If you have never published before, once you see your name in print, it will change you. So realize that. That's the first thing you could possibly do. The second major project you could possibly do is to create some type of event. It doesn't have to be immediately, so you don't have to create it in January, but begin the process of putting together some type of event, whether it's a webinar, an online panel discussion, or anything like that. Begin to create some type of event that you can gather your community to, community of like-minded people, community of interest people, things like that. Create that event that you can attract people to. So that's good because that can open you up to a lot of other possibilities, consulting, things like that. But to know that you can actively choose a topic and then develop an event and get people to come to it is powerful. So I want you to think about that and employ that into a major project you can do. A third major project that you can do, and this is thinking about preparing yourself for life after the doctorate, is plan your digital footprint. Plan how you look on social media. Most of the time, these things are not accidents. So plan your digital footprint, whether that means refining your LinkedIn page, refining your Facebook or Instagram page, or getting different ones and having those be your professional pages, or developing your web page where your personal events and items and publications and activities and all the things you do are there. Get that going. Establish your digital footprint. For those of you who wish to go into higher ed and be faculty, start thinking about multiple universities and seminal scholars and become their LinkedIn friends, because you want to get what you're doing in the face of people who could possibly move things for you, even though they don't necessarily know you personally. So plan your digital footprint. None of this should be an accident, but it should be a coordinated plan. If you have to hire a public relations person, so do it. I don't think it's that hard, but you can do that. I can help with it if you want. Contact me. But I can help you with web design, creating content so that you can have it on your web page so that when people visit you or see what you're doing, they can actually take away something to know that you're serious. So that's what you can do during this phase. This phase is simply your agenda discovery phase, where you're actually carving out who you're going to be in the world of research and academia. The next phase, the final phase, is phase 3, knowledge production. So in the knowledge production phase, what we're talking about is post-coursework doctoral students, or those approaching ending of your coursework. Generally, you take your comprehensive exams in the final semester of your coursework. So if you're coming up on that, you're in phase 3. If you've already completed that and you're now in the dissertation phase, congratulations, you're in phase 3. So that's what it's designed for, those who are in the comprehensive exam stage or the dissertation stage. If you're in the comprehensive stage, what you can do in addition to, not in addition to, you notice I normally tell everybody, give family time and get me time. I'm not telling you that if you're in this phase. This phase, you got to get to work. so that you don't have to do this again next year. You can sacrifice one Christmas in order to give your family and friends and yourself an abundant Christmas here on after this. So you don't get to give me time and all of that. You got to get to work. So if you're in the comprehensive phase, take this time to do a course by course review of everything you've done. Go back and look at those notes. Go back and look at the assignments. Go back and think about the major takeaways and information you got from each course. Challenge yourself to do one course a day. Now, for most of you, if you're doing 60 hours, that's 20 classes. So that's 20 days worth of look. And I know that your winter break extends beyond that, but that should at least carry you until classes start again. But do a course by course review, one course a day at a minimum. And hopefully do it with a classmate or a set of classmates. Remember, these are no solo acts here. So do it with a team. So you can all share resources, discuss stuff, pull out things that one person may have missed, but have that discussion and have that comps review time with your classmates. If you're in the beginning dissertation stage, there are several things you can do. One is, and I highly suggest that you secure your literature. All the literature you intend to use towards your dissertation, secure it. Make sure it's there and available somewhere, that you've got your article cards and article card sets ready to go. But you secure your literature. Now, many people ask, well, how many articles should I have towards my dissertation? There is no magic number, but there's a magic range. That magic range can be anywhere from 80 to 125 articles. And I'm leaning more towards 115 to 125. And that's conservative. Some professors will actually ask for more. Some will say you don't need that much. But I've never heard a person say you have too much literature on a dissertation. You got too much information. You're too deep on this. So secure your information, secure your literature. Maximum range, a magic range, 80 to 125 articles. You should know where you are. You should have them stored somewhere. If you've been following along and listening to this, you should be able to have some stuff stored somewhere. Secure your big data. Those of you who don't know what I mean by big data, I mean like national reports that deal with your topic. So know how to get good big data, know how to use it, and secure your big data reports. And make sure they're the most recent reports. So if you're doing stuff from the Condition of Education report, make sure it's 2021. If you're doing something from Survey of Earned Doctorates, make sure it's the most recent publication. If you're going Census Bureau, gather the most recent of publications and reports. The next, from all of those things, begin to start developing key questions that could serve as a research question. So developing your research questions is a definite part of this. And of course, while you're developing your research question, it actually is part of a triangle effect. So what you're doing from the key questions, your key research questions should tell us about your research design and approach. Just based on the language within your design, it tells us about the type of, in your question, it tells us about the type of design and approach you choose to use, whether it's qualitative design, quantitative design, mixed methods design, and then the various approaches within each design. Your research question should direct you towards that. In addition to that, your research question should drive towards your framework. Whether it's your theoretical or conceptual framework, your research questions should also be connected to your theoretical conceptual framework. In that, your framework tells us how you want us to view your topic, what lens we should look at your topic through. So in that connects to your research design and approach, and connects to your framework, and connects to your research questions. All three should be connected in some way. I actually have a mini course on qualitative design made easy. And in that mini course, we talk about this. And not just for qualitative designs, but also for quantitative as well. But we have those items available for you. And it's a mini course. So it's about 5, maybe 6 sessions. Check that out in the courses, particularly in mini courses. So let's review so far and keep going. Secure literature, secure big data, develop key questions or research questions, determine design and approach, and then develop your framework or determine your framework, which you will use. The next piece that you want to do during this break is develop the purpose of your study. Tell us why this study is necessary. What is the purpose of it? What are you trying to explore or explain? And what key concepts or variables are involved in the study? So that's all should be covered in your purpose of the study. Now, when you go to write this, the first sentence should be extremely clear and extremely simple. The purpose of this study is to ... And you complete that. Then you can explain to us the key concepts and variables in the study afterwards. But make sure that that particular sentence is clear, that no one can mistake that for another section. So develop that purpose of study. In addition to that, what you can also do is articulate the critical problem. The critical problem is a problem that will not be solved by time. It's not something we can wait and then it'll end, like a recession or like a bad student in high school. Eventually he's going to graduate or drop out. But that's not a critical problem. A critical problem is something that will not go away. It cannot be solved with a Google search. And it's supported by your big data. You have to use big data to convince us that this problem, if left alone, can be catastrophic. That's the use of big data. Now, you have to remember, people love pictures and numbers. And if you can create pictures with a number called a figure or a table, that's another chapter in the APA manual, that works even great for us. So make sure you are doing that, where you're actually discussing the big data and how that big data contributes or describes the critical problem of your study. I have to say, stop right now and give a shout out to Dr. Shanique Lee. Congratulations. I saw your graduation. So glad to see you do it. Congratulations once again. You are ready. You went through a thorough program, absolute thorough program, and you are more than ready to challenge the world now. But thank you for joining us, and I'm so glad you were able to get this major project done, and now you're ready for the world. Now, that deals with those people, when we talked about all of this, people in the beginning dissertation stage. The next stage is your pre-proposal stage. So you're past your pre-dissertation, like talk and things like that. You're now in the pre-proposal, which you haven't defended your proposal yet. So during this break, you can start working on refining chapters 1 through 3. You should be somewhere along the line with those chapters. If you're at this stage, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So refine chapters 1 through 3. Start that over this break if you haven't already. And also, this will be a perfect time to see perhaps a dissertation coach, like the Done Dissertation program. They can take you from this particular stage and really help you to move things, to help you see things you probably didn't see before. But during this stage, during this break, you can take the time to start working on chapters 1 through 3. And it's perfect because I went on a Facebook group and asked them, what did you plan to accomplish during this break? And there were many people who were right at this stage talking about working on chapters 1 through 3. They're right in line with what they should be doing. The final group during this particular phase is the post-proposal. So you've defended your proposal already, and now you're on to the coast to finishing your final defense. And generally, if you've got past the proposal, you've gotten past the toughest part. Everything now is just piecing it together. So during this break, you probably should be working on edits in your proposal, because no one walks away from it unscathed. You should be working on your IRB if you haven't already. Your data collection and data analysis, you should be somewhere on those stages where you're actually interviewing, collecting data, or you're analyzing data you have collected, and you're probably in a coding moment and things like that. And then you can also work on the remaining chapters. It depends on how you're doing those chapters. I would say chapters 4 and 5, but that's more traditional. Of late, I've been doing a lot of 6-chapter dissertations where the last 3 chapters have been independent articles. So there are many ways to do the dissertation. So depending on what phase you're in, you're probably working on the remaining chapters of that dissertation. I encourage you to do that. If, once again, you need that dissertation coach, once again, the Done Dissertation is a perfect platform for you to use. I can help a little bit, but that's not necessarily everything that I do. My focus right now is more so on pre-dissertation students, but those who are at the dissertation stage, Dr. Ramon Goings, the Done Dissertation Coach, is actually perfect for you. So with that said, I'm going to close out. This is the final live that we do. We'll come back, I believe it's January 4th, and we'll start going deeper into some other topics. But please check out www.myadvantage.org and see the courses or the coaching or the consulting that we offer. And then hit us up and let us know how we can help you. With that said, I'm going to let you go. Have a great Christmas break or holiday break, and I will see you refreshed and ready and recommitted in the next year. Goodbye now.